Hey everybody, it's Major League Hats. We are approaching a milestone. The milestone is recording my 100th video. So I thought I would take the time, since we are on video 100. We have about 120 subscribers, so we got a little bit of an audience base. So I wanted to take a couple minutes and actually introduce myself to folks that are new to the channel. And if you are new to the channel, thank you for taking the time to watch my video. And while you're at it, please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification button so you can get notified when I upload a new video. So I wanted to take the time to introduce myself, talk to you a little bit about why I started the channel, what I want to get out of the channel, and a little bit of who I am so you can get to know me a little bit. And if you want to get to know me even further and see where I'm at or what I'm up to, you can always follow me on Twitter or Instagram at mlhats5950. Basically, I'm into baseball and hats and anything else that's interested regarding sports. So let's get to know Major League Hats a little bit. I wear a bunch of different team shirts. The reason for that is because I go to a lot of different games. I go to a lot of different stadiums. I've been to over 60 stadiums, so I'm continuously, every time I go to a new stadium, I buy a new shirt. But I'm always getting asked, who are my favorite current day players that are not playing for the Giants or the A's? That's easy. If you have been following me on Instagram, or if you've been watching my videos, you will know that one of my favorite players is Bryce Harper. I like him so much, I even named my second child after Bryce Harper. So his name is Bryce Giovanni. We call him T-Ball. My other favorite player that I like to watch is Mike Trout. How can you not like Mike Trout? I just love the way he plays. I love his personality. And he just seems like a really good guy that you want your kids to have as a role model. Another one of my favorite players that I enjoy watching nowadays is Carlos Correa, Kris Bryant. And you could be saying, well, that's because they're a couple of the best players in baseball. Well, yeah, that's true. Throughout my travels, I've gotten a chance to meet Carlos Correa. I even met his dad at a hotel when I saw them in Lancaster, and I thought that was super cool. I didn't even know it was his dad, and I saw him coming in one early morning after he flew Carlos to the airport for the High A All-Star game. And I said hi to him. I didn't even know who he was. It was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And the cool part about him was that as he's talking to me, he had literally a stack of cards like this of Carlos Correa. And I said something and he pulls out a card and I look at the card and I'm like, this is your son? And of course it was in Spanish, of course. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh shoot. And the cool part is he gave me that card, so I still have that card. I haven't been able to get that card signed by Carlos. I had another card signed by Carlos, but I will save that card if I ever get a chance to see Carlos again. I will tell him that little bit of story. But those little chance meetings and opportunity, I really feel like he's a player that is definitely worth watching, definitely a player that's worth rooting for. And come on, how can you not like seeing the way he plays playing in Houston? I watch a lot of Houston Astros game, being that Fresno is near me. So I've seen a lot of the Astro players, come up through the minor leagues. And then, of course, when the Astros were a part of Lancaster, I got to watch them more. Kris Bryant is another guy. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I got a chance to meet him in Reno, Nevada. He was really nice to everybody that was around. He was really nice to my son. We got pictures. I've posted some of those pictures on my YouTube channel videos. If you haven't seen those videos, please go back to my room collection video and check out that video, and you will see some of the pictures that minor leagues has taken with Carlos Correa and Kris Bryant, so go check that out. This isn't my last favorite player, but I had to narrow it down to my favorite players. I always, I'm not a Dodgers fan, but I tell you, I like watching the Dodgers. I follow some of the Dodgers because I've had a chance to meet some of them, in Rancho Cucamonga, Oklahoma City. My other favorite player is Clayton Kershaw. He's like the modern day Sandy Koufax. In minor leagues is a left-hander and Kershaw's a left-hander. So I like watching Kershaw pitch, and that way if minor leagues ever sits down to watch a game with me, he can see Kershaw pitch and he can see what a lefty pitcher does. Because obviously I'm a righty and I can't really show him the things that a lefty does. I could try to show him, but in reality, if he watches a pitcher like Clayton Kershaw, he can really pick it up because they're both lefties, and minor leagues can see how Clayton Kershaw, where he positions himself on the rubber. If he has a runner on third, where he stands. If he has a runner on first, where he stands. Runner second, you get the point. So Clayton Kershaw could show minor leagues nuances of being a left-handed pitcher. So he's one of my favorite pitchers to watch. So my favorite players growing up were Frank Thomas. He was just an absolute one of my favorite players. I'm not really sure why. I started getting into baseball really in the early 90s with the A's and stuff. And then there was this guy that played for the White Sox, Frank Thomas. I don't know, just something about Frank Thomas. He was big, he was powerful, he hit home runs, RBIs, he was a first baseman. I mean, how can you not like him? You know, back in the early 90s, the home runs were the thing. And so he just naturally became one of my favorite players. And for that reason, another one of my favorite players was Mark McGwire. Loved him. First baseman, big, hit home runs. Reason why the A's were the A's. The Bash Brothers with Canseco. There was just so much to like about watching McGwire and Frank Thomas play. It was just freaking awesome. The other favorite player I had was Ken Griffey Jr. He just that sweet swing he had, that cockiness. He knew he was good. You could see that radiate from the way he played. All out hustle. He didn't care, you know, per se what he did to his body to make the play. He just went out and got the ball. And you can almost kind of compare him a little bit to Bryce Harper. So Bryce Harper is like, to me, the modern day Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, a lot of people are going to say differently, especially since Harper's been having a down year and he is coming into a free agency. But, I mean, watching Bryce Harper play, how can you not like the way he plays? I mean, he gets so much criticism, and yeah, he did come up quick. He came up when he was like 18, 19 years old, kind of like Juan Soto. But it just shows how determined they are as players, as athletes, as a person, to reach that high level and continue the high expectations that they've been put upon them. Because realistically, Bryce Harper should maybe not have even been in the major leagues at this point in his career, or even Juan Soto, because how long has Harper been in the league? Like 5 years? Sometimes, you know, a lot of the times when athletes get drafted, you don't even start seeing them for like 3 or 4 years at the very minimum. And Harper was already on the radar after getting drafted, obviously. He was drafted as an outfielder, but he played catcher because they wanted to put him on the fast track to the major leagues. He was only really, he sped through the minor league system. And then if I remember correctly, he was already in spring training that year. And there you go. So reality is, the things that Harper's had to do is kind of like basically what Griffey did. But the difference is that when Griffey played, you didn't hear about these things because you didn't have as much social media out there. So you never really heard of, you know, Griffey in the minor leagues. Shoot, can you tell me how many years Griffey spent in the minor leagues without even looking it up? I'm sure he probably spent 3 or 4 years, but at the same time, I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I never really had a real reason to look it up. Maybe I will. So stay tuned. I'll keep you updated. I'll see how many years Griffey spent in the minor leagues, and I'll compare that to Harper, and I'll get back to you on an updated video. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification for that upcoming video. So those were my favorite players growing up, was Frank Thomas, Mark McGwire, and Ken Griffey Jr. I've been asked a number of times throughout my travels what have been my favorite ballparks that I've been to and what have been my least favorite ballparks that I've been to. Now, a little disclaimer, I am not going to include Oakland or San Francisco in either one of these categories. It is easy for people to bash on the A's ballpark, Oakland Coliseum, and it's easy for people to want to bash on the Giants ballpark, AT&T Park. The reality is, I kind of like Oakland. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of the things that I like seeing in a ballpark per se, but every time I've gone to Oakland, I've always had a good time. I have no complaints. You know, honestly, I go to the ball game to watch the ball game, try to get autographs, and have a good time. Same thing with San Francisco. In reality is, I've actually been more successful in Oakland of getting good autographs than I have in San Francisco. And all the times I've been to San Francisco, I've gotten more Dodger autographs than I have San Francisco Giants. And you tell me why that is. Giants don't sign? I don't know. I mean, I got Buster Posey at a Giants game. It was after the game, and I just got really freaking lucky. But even before I got that autograph, I got Clayton Kershaw's autograph and a couple other guys. So reality is, I've actually had more fun at the Coliseum than I have at AT&T in regards to the stuff that I like to do besides watching the product on the field. So I'm not including either one of those because ultimately I would say that AT&T is a very nice park. It's one of my favorite parks to go to, and Oakland could be considered my least favorite in a sense basically because of what they offer. So what I look for, or when I go to a different ballpark, what I look for is the accessibility to the players to see if I could get autographs. The other thing that I look for is the history surrounding the stadium. Like, I like seeing the statues, I like seeing the plaques that have the information outside, and I just think that's a really cool feature, especially like when I go to a different place and I've never been there, like at a minor league ballpark, and they got all these plaques explaining the surrounding areas, explaining the history of the ballpark, and I just think it's really cool. And lastly, what is the accessibility to the stadium? For that reason, I'm not going to include the Dodger Stadium, Cesar Chavez Ravine, because they got one of the worst like accessibilities, I would like to say. Like the one time I went to Dodger Stadium, I parked, I guess I went on the top row of the mountain there to get in, and then on the way out I came out in a different section and I walked a mile around. But it's got a lot of history involved, so I'm not going to include that one, so don't even ask me, because you know that one's a tied. I mean, I've had some good times at Dodger Stadium. That's one of the places where I got my a first baseball at by Carlos Correa, the Houston Astros. He was a catcher, number 21. So I've had a lot of good times. I've been to Dodger Stadium for Father's Day, and so Dodger Stadium is not on the list, so don't even ask me that already. So my least 3 favorite stadiums, based out of everything I just said, is 1, Seattle Mariners. Sorry, Seattle. For the amount of history that has been involved in Seattle, since I've been watching the team since the early 90s, and no, I don't watch every game. I've been there twice to Seattle at Safeco Field. I never went to the Kingdom, but they have no history on the outside. They have no plaques on the outside. There's nothing there. You get to a baseball game a couple hours early to explore a stadium, there's nothing there. You walk up and down the street, it's next to a busy freeway type off ramp. Yeah, you can walk a little bit down the way and there is a Seattle Seahawks stadium. Other than that, there's nothing there. It's actually pretty boring. For the same reasons that I pretty much explained about Seattle, Arlington, the Texas Rangers is a boring park. There was nothing there. It's more of a modern day area. I mean, it was just boring. There was nothing there. I was kind of bored. I am like thinking, why am I getting here so freaking early? There's nothing to see. I mean, where's the statue of Nolan Ryan? Come on, Pudge Rodriguez. Now, I haven't been there in a couple years. It's been probably like 4 years maybe since I've been to Arlington. But there was no Nolan Ryan statue, no Pudge Rodriguez statue. Juan Gonzalez, come on. Those were the guys I grew up watching. Where are those guys at? Nothing. And my third least favorite stadium, and I actually had a really good time there. Not really sure why I'm putting it on the list, because I did have a good time. Got some good autographs after the game, but the Miami Marlins stadium, there was no history, and you know, they have won the World Series like twice, and there was nothing really to commemorate that. Yeah, it's a newer stadium. They did have some good features like the fish tank. They have the Cleveland dirt out in left field. I like the statue in center field myself personally, but basically it was empty. There was no fans, nothing. So there was no statues. Come on, could we get a Charles Johnson statue? Could we get a Von Rodriguez statue? But Miami Marlins / Florida Marlins actually have a good history since their inception in the early 90s. So where's their history? Where's their legacy? There's nothing. Jeter, if you watch this video, which I know you're not watching my video, let's get some history surrounding that Miami Marlins stadium. Come on. It's a good stadium. It's a good place to watch a baseball game. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's got that vibe of Miami there. So let's get some history there as well. Support the history. Anyways, I'm just saying, that's what I look for. My favorite stadiums that I've been to, I like Pittsburgh. That's probably one of my top 5 stadiums. I'm going to put that number 1 in this video. Baltimore is freaking nice. And Boston. Yes, I said Boston Red Sox over the Yankees. Yankees, of course, because it's newer. And maybe if I went to the old stadium, it'd be a different opinion. Chicago Cubs. I'm kind of mixed about Chicago. You know, it was so-so. But anyways, Pittsburgh, God, I love it. They got that Roberto Clemente statue out there. You can walk across the bridges over there. The people were friendly. It was easy to get to. I didn't get no autographs that day, but it was okay. We went and walked out along the Allegheny Pier there. Not really pier, but the sidewalk. So that was cool. In Baltimore, you can follow like a little baseball path, and it will take you to one of the houses that Babe Ruth grew up in, and it's like a museum, and that's really cool. The atmosphere is really live down there. They closed down the area basically so you can have a good time and don't have to worry about that. Same with Boston. Oh my God, dude. Just watch where you park though. Watch where you park. I got my car towed in Boston. Well, not my car, but the rental car. You get the point. A lot of history, great atmosphere. The people were cool. They closed down the streets there at Yonke Way as well. By the way, they might have changed that name already. I'm not really sure. There was some debate about changing the name of Yonke Way, so we'll see. But it was just a good vibe, and it was fun, and you could see the history surrounding the whole area, and that was really cool. So those are my 3 favorite ballparks: Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Boston. I've had some people ask me why I started my YouTube channel. Plain and simple. I was on my travels, and I was in Mobile, Alabama. A kid asked me if I had a YouTube channel after we were talking, and this was like a teenager type kid. I said no, and he's like, why not? I'm like, I don't know. Just, I don't really ever, I'm not really good with like electronics, or I just don't feel like I have anything interesting to share. And he says I should start it. So that's why I started a YouTube channel. The other thing is I'm into hats, and what I noticed is that there's a lot of cool hats out there, and maybe a lot of people don't know the information on those hats. So I felt like that I could share that information by doing the research, and I have fun doing it too, doing the research, because I get to learn about the hat. So if anybody ever asks me why I'm wearing a particular hat, I can share that with you. Because in my area, I don't really know of anybody that wears hats like I do, but I do have people comment on my hats all the time. So that way, when they do comment, and if they want to talk a little bit about the hat, I can tell them a little bit about the hat, and it gets them intrigued. And you know, I know they're not going to go out and buy the hat, but it's just fun to be able to tell them and give them the, I guess, lesson about the hat. So that's why I started the YouTube channel. I wanted to share my experiences of going to the different ballparks, and I wanted to share the information on my hats that I wear, because you know, I wear a different hat almost every day, and some days I wear maybe 2 or 3. It's just funny how it is. It depends on, like, this is a morning, I have maybe one hat on. In the afternoon, I'll maybe change my clothes or whatever because I don't like what I'm wearing, and I'll change the hat. So it just kind of depends on what I'm wearing. So that's why I started my YouTube channel. So you might be wondering, what is my hat collecting goals overall? Well, my first goal was to get all the major league teams, so I did that. Second goal was to get all the AAA teams. I did that, and then I continued that down to try to get all the double A's. I'm working on it, all the high A's and low A's. So that's my ultimate goal, is try to get one hat from every team that is currently playing. And yes, I know it switches every year, so I'm trying to get all the hats that are currently playing. And then honestly, if they do change affiliations, like the Colorado Springs Sky Sox, San Antonio Mission, there's a lot of change going on. The Helena Brewers, there's a lot of change going on. I'll probably still get those hats eventually down the line. If I don't have them, like I don't have a Helena Brewers hat, because they were a part of the teams that were playing currently when I started collecting hats. But I usually don't go back in time to collect hats that I never heard of. For example, like the Kissimmee Cobras. I never knew of them. They got a great hat, but it's just not going to be on my hat to want list because I'm not familiar with them. But like the New Orleans Zephyrs, I already got that hat, but if I didn't get that hat already, and you know they changed to the baby cakes, I still would have got the Zephyrs because they were playing during the time period that I was collecting that hat. And I knew about that team, and they played in Sacramento, they played in Fresno, so I would have got that team. But like teams that I'm not aware of, I don't usually go back and collect their hats. So the Helena Brewers would be a hat I would get based off of the fact that they've already been playing. So those are my hat goals, is try to get one hat of every baseball team that is currently playing or that has played within the time period I started collecting hats. And then after I'm able to achieve that, I would like to just continue to grow my collection, collecting the specialty hats, because they got a lot of cool hats out there. And maybe I'll start collecting the vintage hats. I'm not sure. There is a nice San Francisco Seals hat I would like to get. I do like that Kissimmee Cobras hat. That is another one of my favorite hats. They have the Phoenix Firebirds. I love that hat. So maybe I will eventually collect some of the older style hats, but my current goal right now is to collect the current teams that I'm more familiar with. So those are my hat collecting goals. I get asked this question a lot throughout my travels. You know, what do I do for work? How can I afford to do the things that I do? How can I afford to collect hats? I will tell you what kind of work I do, but I'm not going to tell you where I work. One, I don't think it's appropriate. Two, I don't want nobody showing up to my work or even contacting my work But basically what I do is I do hospitality type work. I've been doing that for a number of years. I like it. My degree's in human resources. So I decided to get a job in the hospitality field. And so that's the kind of work I do. I'm also, like any collector out there, I'm good with saving my money, but at the same time, I'm not like big into other stuff. So I transfer my money to my collection. Like, I can't go out and buy shoes. It's really hard for me to buy shoes. I wear a 13.4E. I just don't have a lot of chances to get shoes in my area. So I only have like a couple pair of shoes. So I'm not out there buying $150 pair of shoes. Electronics just piss me off. So I'm not always getting a new cell phone. It's just too much. iPad's the same thing. I'm not big into cars. I got my truck and that's what I like. So, you know, I just kind of, and the fact that I can't always go to a game, you know, like I said, I just save my money and transfer the money that I like saving, put it towards my collection. And so that's what I do. So I work in the hospitality field and I save my money. The last question that I wanted to answer before we get on to today's hat review. Yes, there is a hat review after all this. Why wouldn't there be a hat review? Come on. Everything ties into a hat review. I just wanted to make this video special since it will be the 100th video of my channel, Major League Hats. What is my favorite hats? Yes, I narrowed it down to my favorite hats. These are my 2 absolute favorite hats, and they are going to be in order. So the first one is my San Francisco Giants hat. You might be asking yourself, why would this be one of my favorite hats? Yes, it's the Giants hat. The main reason why is because at my job, where I work, I have some special privileges in a sense. I get to meet a lot. I get to meet some celebrities. I've met Troy Aikman up there. I've met Bruce Bochy up there, and they've had other Giants players that go up there. So I've met some players, and so this hat was given to me by Bruce Bochy himself. So this is one of my favorite hats. He had a box of hats in his car, and he asked me what size hat I wore. I told him, and he pulled this baby out. As you can see, this is the old style hat, has the black brim, orange and black Major League guy on the back, has the orange button. This one is a 7.5 because that's what I was wearing at the time. This one says it's engineered exclusively for Major League players. Of course, it was this is a new era, and this one is made in the USA. As you can see, it's got a lot of great usage out of this. I love this hat. So this is hat number 2 of my favorites, is my Bruce Bochy San Francisco Giants hat. And the reason why I know this was given to me by Bruce Bochy is because I have another exact hat like this, but it has the gray underbill. So when Bruce Bochy gave me this hat with the black underbill, I saw it and I'm like, that is the freaking coolest thing, because at that time I wasn't like a huge hat collector. I had a couple hats, so that's why this has gotten a lot of wear, because I wasn't changing my hats as much as I do now. But this has the black underbill, so it was just freaking awesome. I still wear it occasionally. As you can see, it still looks good. I try not to wear it too much, but I do wear it. And the only reason is because it's gone through a little rough patch. As you can see, if I could, I'll clean it up, but this is one of my favorite hats. The second hat, and this is to me the best hat of my collection. If you've been watching my videos, I did do a review on a Father's Day hat for this year of the Toronto Blue Jays, so go check out that video if you like. But here is my Father's Day hat. Is this teal and white San Francisco Giants hat. This is the only hat that my wife has ever actually gotten me and my son. Minor leagues, T-ball wasn't around at the time. This was my Father's Day gift that they got. They actually went down to the mall. They knew my hat size, of course. They picked out this hat. Well, minor leagues picked out this hat. The team mother was trying to get him to pick something else because she knew I didn't like white hats. But he wanted this hat. He thought it was really cool. So he picked out this hat. And so that is why this is the best hat on my collection. As you can see, it's all white with the teal SF. You have a teal brim, which is kind of cool. You have a black sweatband, white underneath. Of course, 7.5. It's genuine merchandise. Surprisingly, this one is made in China, which is actually a real surprise. You have a teal Major League guy on the back, and you have the New Era flag in teal with the teal button on top. As you can see, it is worn. I mean, I sweat in it, so that's why I don't like The white hats, as you can see, they got the tone color right there from the sweat right here coming along the side. So this is why I typically don't get white hats. So I've worn this a couple times, especially when it's around Father's Day. But this is my favorite hat, the San Francisco Giants white and teal hat. All right, thank you for taking the time to get to know me a little bit. Let's get on to today's hat review. So today's hat review, if you see the shirt I'm wearing, all ties together. The last hat was a white and teal hat. So we're going to go with the BAM! Seattle Mariners. I'm just going to be honest, it isn't one of my favorite hats, but it's a very good hat. The reason why this is not one of my favorite hats is this was actually kind of like a second selection hat. So I kind of felt really bad because when I went to Seattle, I wanted to get their more traditional with the navy and the teal brim. I thought that was really cool. I didn't like just the all solid colors, but they didn't have no more of those hats, so I had to get the navy hat with that cool looking S and the star right there in the middle with the teal on the outlining. It's a silver stitching there in the middle of the S, so at least that's really good. This was an older hat, of course, so no new era flag. On the back you have a navy and teal major league guy, blue button. Underneath is black sweatband. And this hat was made in the USA out of polyester, so it's one of the older style hats. Oh, and you got your blue eyelets. So I like this hat. Obviously my name starts with S, so I'm a little more favorable to this hat since it has this cool looking S. I am thinking about using this S in a design for a tattoo. We'll see. But I do wear this hat. This was one of my originals. I'm not sure exactly where it was at. I would probably say it was in the top 20s of the first hats I've gotten, as you can see, with no new era flag. And I used to only get hats when I would go to the stadium. So I flew up to Seattle one day just to watch a baseball game, and I saw the Mariners play the Red Sox. David Ortiz hit a home run that game. That's the game that Ichiro made that awesome catch. I believe it was in center field where he stuck to the wall. Actually, it might have been right field. Can't remember, but he stuck to the wall like a spider, and it was on the front page of the newspaper the very next day. So if you know about that play, you'll get the reference and you'll know what date it is. This is the Seattle Mariners. Like I said, it's a good hat. If you're a hat collector and you're looking to get a Mariners hat, go get the one with the teal brim. I really like that one better. I will go and get that one eventually, but it's kind of not really a rush, only because I see a lot of cool looking minor league hats out there that I would like to get beforehand, but I will go get that one eventually. Like I said, with Major League Baseball compared to minor league baseball, they don't really give me a reason to go want to get another major league hat except for when they do their special edition hats. Unlike minor league baseball, they got a lot of cool promos throughout the years, so they do a lot of different hats throughout the year. So, you know, when I see those hats from minor league baseball, I'm like, I want that hat. So if you're going to get a Mariners hat, I would go get the one with the teal brim. But if not, this is a nice hat. It's very good. It goes with whatever you're wearing. The navy blue Seattle Mariners is a very good hat to get for that. As you can see, it's got a lot of usage out of it. All right, thank you for watching my video. Thank you for taking the time to get to know me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit your notifications. If you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can do that at MLHats5950. That's MLHATZ5950. And if you want to help support the channel, go check on my Patreon page. I'll provide the link at the bottom. Don't forget to hit a like on this video if you like this video. I'm trying to get 10 likes on my videos, so please help me out and hit that like button. I greatly appreciate it. And lastly, if you want to send me any fan mail or anything, I'll provide my P.O. box at the end of this video. All right, thank you for watching. This is Major League Hats out. Bye, everybody. See ya.